What is something that people say it is healthy but it's not? Activated charcoal. You put it in your toothpaste and you're stripping the enamel. You drink it and any supplements or medications are out the window. You only need to ingest charcoal when you are heavily poisoned. Also, anything that claims to purge toxins or clean X organ is just a laxative. On a similar note, I worked with a guy that took some substance that was known to strip layers of your colon off, and the company selling it insisted it was actually parasites and worms being purged. Amazingly, he had no idea and didn't even try to find out if the company's claims were legit. He went from excited to promote this product to me and the client to being nearly in tears when we both told him that what he really saw in the toilet was his shedding colon and his own blood, not some unknown parasites. He convinced his mom to take it while she was gravely ill. I never worked with him again after that day, but I hope his mom is okay. God, I heard someone phone in on the radio claiming that they take a teaspoon of charcoal every day because it gets absorbed into the bloodstream to sponge up toxins. I wanted to throttle her. My niece gets sent to the for binging on pills several times a year. She's not suicidal. It's just a form of borderline personality where her self-esteem crashes when she gets upset and self-harms with the most convenient avenue she has available. They force you to drink a glass of charcoal. The whole point is that charcoal isn't metabolized and it sponges up the toxins before it enters the bloodstream. It also sponges up the nutrients and is disgusting. No one would do it willingly if they had a choice. Moisture-loving bacteria. Get a head start on your own decomposition process while fertilizing your yard and carpets. Hulking predators. Highly dedicated cardio coaches. You'll never want to skip leg day again. Famine-induced high infant mortality rates. Birth control the way God intended. The carefree life of a hunter-gatherer. See the world while pursuing your only vaguely reliable source of food. Healthcare. Don't trust doctors and their yucky artificial pharmaceuticals. Chew on this fruit I found with what few teeth you have left. A fully libertarian system of governance. Be your own boss. No more taxes means no more commie police force telling you what to do. Instead, enjoy the freedom of roving bands of marauding troglodytes and the numerous job opportunities offered through their SLAVERY program. Experience full cultural immersion as the guest of honor at their sacrificial cannibal feast, or even rise through the ranks to become the chieftain for about 15 minutes until the next guy retires you. Nature gave you Stockholm Syndrome for a reason, right? Just remember that never fighting with your significant other can also be a bad thing. Really, what matters most is how you fight. When done right, you might not even define a fight as a fight. Call it a disagreement, debate, or even a discussion. Edit. I am getting many comments arguing about what the words fight or argue mean. I think many people I have talked to have the opposite assumption to the one above. They think if they fight with their partner it is bad and unhealthy. Regardless of how you define the word fight, if you can have your disagreements through active communication, empathy and sharing of your feelings and points of view, it is unlikely to be unhealthy. I have found, at least in the repression capital the Midwest, that many more people avoid sharing how they feel or what is bothering them to avoid having a fight. This makes things much worse in the long run. I think healthy relationships are a rare blessing in this world. It's weird how evolutionary biology works. Our bodies are the most complex machines in existence. Yet one of the major steps of natural selection, ensuring healthy offspring, is such a fucking mess. I wonder if anyone has done any studies to determine the rate of mental illness in hunter-gatherer populations. That's the closest example we've got to our original evolution on the African savanna. Heck, it always amazes me when people aren't even married yet, or sometimes just a few months into a relationship, and casually talk about fighting all the time with their soul because they think it's normal. Why would you be with someone you regularly fight with from the start? Meanwhile, husband and I have been together 5 years now, and have never really fought. Disagreements we have calmly talked through and compromised on, sure, but people have legit warned us that it's unhealthy that we've never fought, which seems so counterintuitive to me. Yep. 100%. My fiancé and I have been together for a long time, almost 14 years. got engaged last November. He has never, ever, called me a name or disrespected me during an argument. We definitely argue from time to time. I don't know how it's possible to live with anybody and never argue, but we can argue it out without being hurtful or disrespectful and eventually either compromise or agree to disagree, depending on the issue. Relationships take work, but they should never feel exhausting. It's also rarely sustainable. All my friends who fail diets say that diets don't work, but they all do weird, excessively strict diets, like, I'm only going to eat 800 calories of broccoli every day type shit. Of course that isn't sustainable or healthy. Of course you will fall off the wagon. I try to give people advice for how to lose weight since I've lost about 80+ pounds myself, and they look at me like I'm crazy when I suggest slowly making changes. I won't bash the brand obviously, but ginger ale is often touted as being a more healthy choice and soda pop because it has real ginger in it. The actual flavor is artificial and the 40 grams of sugar in 1 can is your total recommended intake for 2 days. I was doing an outdoor festival one year. I was handling video, my buddy audio. We'd be outside for about 14 hours a day for 15 straight days. I was drinking about 2 gallons of water a day. He was bringing 2-by-2-liter bottles of ginger ale every day. I asked him if that was his favorite flavor or if there was a different reason, and he cited the perceived health benefits of ginger. Unfortunately, there was no actual ginger and ginger ale, but there is 32 grams of sugar in each serving, and 6 servings in a 2-liter bottle. He was ingesting almost 400 grams of sugar a day just from this. The suggested total daily sugar intake for an adult male is about 24 grams. No wonder North America has such a high incidence of diabetes. High sugar candy. Kinda, depends on the granola, but in general you're not wrong. Granola is designed to be very calorically dense. The reason people associate it with health is because it first gained popularity with hikers. Hikers love it because anything that reduces weight and space that you're packing is hugely important. So hikers loved granola, not for the taste, but because it was a lightweight and space-reducing way to carry calories around. Granola is a great food to eat if you're hiking with a backpack on for 10 hours a day and burning a ton of fuel, but if you're living a sedentary lifestyle, it's just an efficient way to get fat. I'm going to sum up this entire thread. Anything in excess is bad for you. Yes, even water. Portion control is the healthiest thing. Some things are healthier choices, but when you consume twice as much of that choice, it is no longer healthier. Balance is important. Middle ground. Too much running is bad. Too much olive oil is bad. Not to say running is bad for you or that olive oil is the most unhealthy choice. It's just still not good in massive quantities. There is no super product, food, diet, exercise etc. out there. Don't overdo it with anything. Having really strict diets, like, I don't mean eating healthy, or even having groups of foods you try not to eat. I mean really strict diets. Those diets are far worse for your mental health than they are good for your body. And that's for the ones that aren't starving people outright of vital nutrients/vitamins/calories to have daily energy. It's completely possible to be on a diet and be healthy, but the far extremes of dieting are terrifying. Also, juice cleanses aren't good for you and they don't cleanse anything. I'm anemic, severely anemic if I don't get iron infusions every 3 months. I have a metabolic issue where my small intestine can't absorb iron. Mild autoimmune issues. I had a coworker swear that all I needed was to drink apple cider vinegar. The acid in the vinegar would help my body absorb iron from my diet. Now, she's not completely wrong, because they actually do recommend taking iron supplements with foods high in vitamin C, since the vitamin C truly does help the body absorb iron. But when your small intestine can't absorb iron, it doesn't matter how many iron supplements I take or how much ACV I drink, I still need the infusions. She still insisted ACV would cure me. She insisted it would cure my friend's type 1 diabetes too. I've been overweight, fat my whole life. Diets, working out religiously, etc. My entire family has a serious problem when it comes to keeping the weight on. At no time in my life, did a person with no weight issues coming up to me to let me know publicly to my face. All I needed to do was stop eating so much and stop being lazy, fix the problem. At my most focused, committed, I weighed around 220 pounds and was working out 5-7 times a week depending on BJJ, Wing Chun, full contact kickboxing classes and 3x a week gym sessions, 2 hours a pop. I was still a full 50 pounds overweight and being called a lazy fuck by people, one of whom eventually encountered me in the gym and couldn't hang for half the cardio session. Small town, big mouth, no common sense. I am fat. I am obese. I don't power eat. I don't slug down 2 liters of Mountain Dew every 2 minutes. I walk, hit the gym, take multivitamins, etc. Seriously thinking about either gastro surgeries or maybe some of the newer medicinal aids to help. It ain't getting better, and I've tried months of clean eating and exercise, of multiple varieties, as I'm now approaching 50. Being overweight or obese is hard enough, to have people degrade you in the street like some unkempt, power-eating slob, slug doesn't help anything . Yay, there's no reason to insult people for being overweight, especially 20 pounds, WTF is that? Personally, I just have a bad feeling about morbidly obese people hiding behind body positivity as if it's healthy to be so overweight. It's simply not. Own your appearance, sure, but don't try to spread misinformation about how it's perfectly fine to be such a weight, not you personally, but the general you. I feel it's a lame cop-out. Like it's easier to just try and make it healthy rather than put in the work to actually be healthy. I have no problem with people being obese, you do, but it's the agenda I do agree with. A hot take, I know, but as someone who has been sick their entire life by no fault of their own, it really drives me nuts when people refuse to acknowledge that something is unhealthy and they can change it if they really wanted to, but instead they aim to change the truth so it suits them. I resent them for that. There is actual well-respected medical journals who have published studies relating to this topic. It found that fat shaming, directly or by consuming fat-shaming content, actually increased the amount of calories the subjects ate regardless of their starting weight. All of the studies came to overwhelming result that not only is it ineffective, it actually causes several problems, regardless of if the subjects were overweight to begin with, because the subject groups were diverse. I share this info all the time and I get anecdotes thrown back at me like this. Well, I used to be obese, but people being rude and nasty motivated me and now I've lost X amount of weight, so that means everyone should be subjected to abuse because it will inevitably fix them. Mental health is a huge contributing factor to weight gain. Loss. Bullying someone and making them feel horrible about themselves triggers stress hormones that can cause eating habits to change. You know how some people eat a lot when stressed, and others very little. This can be why some obese people manage to lose weight in response to stress, while others don't. Even if someone did feel motivated to lose weight because they were bullied into it, it's generally pretty bad for your long-term mental health to fixate on others' negativity about your body, which is very personal to you. Ultimately, fat shaming isn't helpful and has the potential to be harmful to someone's health. You want others to be healthy? Just be fucking kind. It's not rocket science. Removing the yolks from eggs and eating the terribly tasteless egg whites by themselves. Most of the hard-to-find vitamins and minerals that are in the egg are found in the yolk. Yes, there is a lot of cholesterol in the yolk, but there are no studies that can show a causative harmful effect on blood levels of cholesterol from moderate egg intake. In fact, recent studies suggest a diet high in healthy sources of cholesterol like eggs cause the lowered CVD risk. So if you are removing the nutritious and flavorful part of the egg, you are missing out on all those hard-to-find B and D vitamins and minerals. And unless you eat a diet very high in leafy green vegetables, good luck finding those nutrients naturally elsewhere. You are less healthy by just eating egg whites. It's just protein and nothing else. GMO is a very broad term, which I would argue is utterly false most of the time. It's literally for the most part selective breeding, crossing high yield with something that may be more robust in a dry environment in hopes of having a high yield that requires less water. I think what most people focus on GMO is the herbicide resistance. Now there is a little more that goes into crossing plants like that. Booyah! At most farms that are organic have a larger carbon footprint per bushel of yield than farms that use herbicide, pesticide. Anyways, these are also the people that paid $3K for their selectively bred pug that has terrible health issues due to breeding for certain traits that are detrimental to the longevity of the life of that organism. Hypocrites. It's the improper form, which is unfortunately very simple to get wrong. The wrong form can mess up both your back and your knees, and if you've already sustained a previous injury in either of those, it can be difficult to recover from. When I damaged my back from improper sit-ups, I had to stop lunges altogether. The back injury was causing me to improperly perform lunges. Everything is healed up now, but I still never picked up either sit-ups or lunges again. Milk. Back in WWI, milk powder was given to the soldiers of the Allies as part of their ration. The government incentivized the dairy industry to produce more milk to meet that unnatural demand, so the dairy farmers raised more cows. When WWI ended, there was an oversupply of milk, which should have been the point where they should have stopped growing bigger herds. But instead the government decided to buy all the surplus dairy products from the dairy farmers and started a huge campaign that told everyone how important milk, the product of another species, is in a human diet, including forcing it on school children. To this very day the U.S. government buys surplus dairy products from the dairy farmers, and yes, it's obviously taxpayers' money. There was even a study by Harvard that has shown that due to acidity the milk will cause bones to weaken instead of strengthen. But the myth lives on, especially since there is a giant lobby that wants to literally milk this source of money. It's weird that some humans aren't weaned in their 30s. This is not an accurate statement and really should not be upvoted. The issue is much more nuanced. Absolutes like this are rarely, if ever, accurate. Insert side joke here. Fat is not better than sugar, nor sugar better than fats. We human beings need both to thrive. Sugar is not just sugar. Fructose, glucose, lactose, dextrose, they are all sugars, all from different sources. Fats are different fatty acids, saturated fats, monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats. You may have heard about health professionals advocating supplementing omega-3s. Guess what? That's fat. All have their place in a healthy diet. What most people struggle with when it comes to dietary issues is total calorie intake. Overeating on one macronutrient can often create a caloric surplus, making people gain weight. I cannot stress this enough. There is no one food that will make you gain weight. Excessive one or more foods will make you gain weight. Sugar's issue isn't the specific effects of sugar itself, it's the effects that come after the sugar has already been processed. Sugars make you crave more. You're more likely to want more sugar past your stomach's recommendation. Sugars are more calorie-dense yet less filling. This can make overeating extremely easy. Sugars are partially addictive. They rewire your brain so that something isn't as sweet the second time, and you'll be more and more inclined to have a sugary treat when available. So while sugar itself doesn't just stack pounds on you, its effects are far worse than most fats from a weight loss perspective. Pain and suffering of any kind, mental or physical, because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Some people fetishize human suffering as good character building. Yeah, life ain't perfect, and how do you know what's good without experiencing something bad to compare it to? That whole light can't exist without dark spiel. Bad things happening to you can't toughen you up. But at what cost? Past injuries have given me a higher pain tolerance and greater sense of caution, but at the cost of chronic or constant pain at a young age. Past psychological abuses have made me stoic and given me a stiff upper lip, but good lord, that shit fucks you up in the head in more ways you can count. Hardships can have good side effects if you come through them a stronger person, but that's often not the case, and even if you pull through, the long-term damage can outweigh any silver linings. Stress beyond a limited amount usually isn't healthy.